speaks on the attack.
We want to go back to the scene of the crime.
News 4's Tara Lynch has been at the scene all afternoon and all evening. She can bring us an update now. Tara?
Bro, this is the most local news shit I've ever seen, bro. I swear to God. Like, no disrespect, but, like, this is the most, like, this is the, you know, biggest news story of our year, perhaps of our entire lifespan of this fucking news broadcaster. So we're just going to be doing round-the-clock coverage, and this is how we sent out our, like, you know, 26-year-old recent college graduate to the fucking scene.
But I've been telling you one story since we first came on the air, and it was about this man here, Grady Lewis. You were in that Tops earlier this afternoon. We're going to get to that story, but you told me just a few moments ago that you actually spoke with the suspect yesterday. He was here. Tell me more about that.
I seen him, and he looked strange in the neighborhood, but
he was doing reconnaissance, apparently, the day prior. He came one day earlier and was doing recon. Like, you know.
Genius shirt on, so I wanted to see if he was a genius. And we sat and talked about string theory, critical race theory, beginning of civilization, and he seemed like he was a genius, actually. He said he came up just to see the countryside, and he was going to go out camping. He bought a big thing, a jug of water. He had a little nervous twitch to him. I bought him something to drink, and we sat and talked for about an hour and 45 minutes after seeing the pictures and seeing the blue car that I seen him got into yesterday. So it's a shock right now, and he told me his name was Peyton. So it's a shock.
And we did see a blue car get taken away from this scene just about a half hour or so ago. And you were saying that you were speaking with him on a bench that's located outside of this Tops.
Yes.
That's the bench that earlier today, when I first got here, you were the first person I spoke to. You were telling me that bench is your office.
Yes.
And you usually like to stop and sit there and talk to people that are passing by. Today you didn't stop.
Yes.
So walk me through your afternoon here at the Tops.
Well, I went in there and got me some a juice. And I didn't want to sit there today, so I walked across the street and I opened up my juice. And as I opened up my juice, I heard what I knew wasn't a firecracker. And I looked.
Done like 5 interviews. That's the first one with the story. No shot. Yeah, this dude was wearing this T-shirt before, and he never brought this up. He literally said in another news report that we saw. In another news report that we saw with this guy, he never brought up the fact that he actually talked to the shooter the day before, and simply stated that he was there when the shooter was there. Brought him up having a gallon water jug that was in the video. No, I'm talking about the original interview. Like in the immediate aftermath of the shooting, he did not bring up that he was talking to the kid at all. I remember him because I remember the shirt he was wearing, but maybe he just didn't realize that kid he talked to was the shooter. You know what I mean? I don't know. Not because he didn't realize the shooter he was talking to during the first interview. Maybe.
Looked up and I seen a guy shooting people. Then I seen a security guard run inside, and then I seen him going after him shooting. And I saw him come back out, and then he had all camouflage on. And glasses and helmet, and then he put the gun to his head, and he dropped it.
Yeah, I remember this part. I heard him talk about this part.
He took off his gloves. He took off his gun. He put it down. He took off his vest, and then he got on his knees and laid down and put his hands behind his back, and they arrested him at that point.
And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, you were telling me about the security guard, the former Buffalo police officer who has tragically died in this incident.
If he wanted to actually kill himself, he would have pointed his gun, not at his neck, but he would have pointed his gun at the police, okay? He didn't do that because he didn't want to fucking die a martyr, or rather, he didn't have the balls to, okay? The easiest way to fucking die in the United States of America is point your gun at a cop. You will die immediately, okay? Very few instances where you point your gun at a cop and they're going to fucking de-escalate. No, they're going to kill you. the whole like, oh, I'm gonna kill myself, I'm gonna put the gun to my neck, like, oh yeah, like that fucking bullshit. Get the fuck out of here. Okay? He is white though? Nope, doesn't matter. You're fucking crazy. White, black, doesn't matter. You do a mass shooting and you point your gun towards cops. In most circumstances, it's a 99% death rating, okay? Come on. We live in a country where we have a concept called suicide by cop. Like, what do you think that means? Yes, they are. Like, here's the reality. If he was black and he put a gun to his fucking neck, the cop still would have killed him. But understand that. If he was black with a weapon, the likelihood of him being assassinated was, again, a 100% guarantee. You don't even need to have an actual gun to be fucking killed by cops in America if you're black. You could have a phone. You can have nothing, and they'll say you had a gun and get away with it. You can be a responsible gun owner and tell the police that you have a gun on you at a traffic stop that you are legally allowed to carry, and they'll still kill you. You can have a toy gun if you're Tamir Rice, and they'll still fucking kill you. At the age of 14, 12 actually, not 14. Shit. Anyway, that's the reality. But if you're white, it's 100%, almost a 100% success rating if you pull your gun out and point it at cops. If you try to fucking wrestle a cop's taser out of his hand, they'll still kill you. Every single thing that I mentioned so far is happened in this country, by the way. They'll kill you. They'll choke you to fucking death if you are if the local shop owner calls the cops on you because they assume you have a fucking fake check. That's America. That's what happens to black people in America, okay? That's why there's a disproportionate rate of violence that black men are subjected to under our current criminal justice system. However, white people are also getting fucking murdered pretty regularly by cops, especially poor white people. And one of those ways is if you point your gun at a cop. Yeah, if you're selling loose cigarettes, they can choke you to death. Okay, so gunman who killed 10 in Buffalo supermarket attack was on authorities' radar. This is something that we've heard from the news media. So the suspect surrendered to the police on Saturday, as we know, what authorities are calling a racially motivated violent extremism attack. He apparently publicized a racist manifesto on the internet. We read through pieces of it yesterday. 11 people struck by gunfire were black and 2 were white. But in the video of the shooting, you see him literally apologize to a white person who's terrified on the ground. He straight up says, "I'm sorry," and doesn't kill him or doesn't shoot him and moves beyond it. Gramaglia told reporters that Gendron had been taken into custody given a mental evaluation over a day and a half last June, but was released. While he did not provide additional details, New York State Police said in a statement on Sunday that they had been called to a high school in Gendron's hometown in Conklin, New York, near the Pennsylvania border. On June 8th, 2021, in response to a 17-year-old student making a threatening statement. This was 1 year after his radicalization on 4chan. 2020, some of you came here. You were fucking bored and directionless in your lives, and you started watching me. This man went into 4chan and went in the opposite direction and became radicalized, by his own words, by the way, over the course of that year, and became a white supremacist. Without identifying Gendron, police said the student was taken into custody and given a mental health evaluation at a hospital. He was not charged criminally. New York Governor Kathy Hochul said ABC Sunday, it's the advertises views online on authorities' radar. I want to know what people knew and when they knew it. But, of course, in the aftermath of YSL being considered a gang, and in the aftermath of the RICO case launched against Young Thug, Gunna, and numerous other people in Atlanta and in Georgia, a question on everybody's minds was, why is there never a RICO charge for a racketeering case for the KKK? And that's because how the fuck are you going to investigate yourselves, authorities? White supremacist acts of violence is routine and commonplace when the state does it. It's normalized when the state does it. Okay, it's the norm. It's supposed to happen, right? And that's precisely why when you see acts of white supremacist violence manifesting in a country where, like, we supposedly are monitoring every kind of thing that people do, the FBI is monitoring everyone, and you know, the NSA is monitoring everyone all the time, we simply cannot figure out real acts of white supremacist terror. We can only fucking urge people and activate them to engage in an act of white supremacist terror that we stop beforehand. We apprehend them immediately beforehand so that we can celebrate how good we were at stopping said act of white supremacist violence, like activating the 3%ers in Michigan to go and kidnap the governor. But, of course, in that circumstance, famously, as I called out, again, because this is, you know, I'm unbiased in this situation, and I have no love for the federal government. I have no love for the FBI. They will do exactly what they did to the Muslim teenagers that were mentally ill on the internet and urge people to go and you know, basically plan out a game, a terror attack and a kidnapping attack so that they can engage in entrapment and give themselves a dub. What do you mean by 3%ers? Jen, 3%ers and Oath Keepers are a white anti-government militia. That's why 4chan is in unison claiming that this is an act of glowies, that the feds activated this person or some shit like that. No, I don't think the feds had to do too much in this circumstance, considering that, you know, there is plenty of motivation for, you know, mentally ill people. That doesn't mean mental illness is the reason why people are doing this. There are plenty of fucking people with, like, mental health issues, I myself included, and most of the people in this chat included, that don't engage in such acts of insane violence. But it's a country full of people that are alienated, angry, resentful, a country that has a history of white supremacist violence, a country that was built upon white supremacist subjugation, not coming to terms with said history, and instead using that anger and resentment as a political motivator for the Republican Party especially, and reinforcing that attitude through all of our fucking facets of entertainment and information, and normalizing that attitude, sanitizing it as best as possible. You know, put that into unaddressed mental health issues, lack of adequate mental health care, and also a country where there are more guns than there are people, and they're readily available, and you have the powder keg that is in front of us. It is not an accident that America, with respect to comparable OECD nations, has the highest rate of gun violence. Okay? Fixing this issue is multifaceted and very difficult. And because how powerless we feel in fixing this issue, and because our legislators are also aware of how powerless we are in fixing this issue, and because of a lack of motivation from our legislators to fix this at all, and because of the disjointed and undemocratic way that our systems are basically created, whether it be the Senate or whether it be gerrymandering in Congress or state legislatures that make it virtually impossible to actually enact any sort of democratic protocol and have the willingness and the wishes of the people demonstrated through any facet of power, we strike at what we can. And what we can is, like I said, getting Big Mouth to change one of the black characters to be voiced by a black voice actor instead. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not progress. I'm just using that as a simple example. We do that by getting Walmart to throw up the throw out the BLM fist. You know, Black Lives Matter. And then we think we did it. We finally made some changes. Well, no changes are coming, and things are only getting worse. Yeah, Aunt Jemima is no longer, a black figure. It's great. We did it. at its most nefarious, that kind of symbolic progress is basically a commodification of actual social justice movements and causes. Okay, that's at its worst. And at its best, it's simply, corporations that are trying to do their very best as they can without actually working towards solving the underlying material problems and actually continuing to support those said systems because it benefits them, as is the case of Walmart throwing up the black fist, but then turning around and well done, you made an entire black family lose their income. What? Dude, I hope you get better. I mean, I really do. I want what's best for you. I'm not even kidding. I really hope you get better, okay? I'm banning you so you can take time on yourself and maybe get better. Clearly what you're doing is not this. Commodification of social justice causes, so like this stream then. Fucking owned me, Zizeki and Crypto. Thank you. Yes. Speaking out against the underlying material circumstances, the underlying material conditions, and how it plays a role in white supremacist acts of violence that completely goes against the mainstream narrative, both on the liberal side and also certainly on the reactionary side, is exactly what I'm doing. I'm doing it for nefarious purpose. I'm commodifying it. You nailed it. Yeah. That's why I've been doing this, even when I had fucking 30 people watching. Yeah, that's the reason. So I'm doing this on a Sunday when normally I would be, normally I'd be playing fucking video games or having fun. I don't think you're intending to, but it's in still the same ecosystem. I do whatever I can. Okay? I am just as powerless, but at least I have a profound amount of privilege and also some level of influence. And I'm able to at least clean up my community and urge people within this community to organize adequately. Okay? It's a small thing that I'm doing. What are you doing? You're not doing anything. You're just fucking talking shit anonymously in the chat as Zizeki and Crypto, thinking that you are actually doing something by being snarky in here. I don't. I'm just shooting the shit. Exactly. But you're doing literally what I just mentioned earlier, which is coming from a place of powerlessness. Okay, you feel powerless in the face of the overwhelming support that systems have, the overwhelming support that like pre-established hierarchies have. So you just lash out at what you can. What you can grab is me in front of you because I'm going to respond to you. So instead of being like, yeah, I get it, I recognize it, maybe perhaps there could be some something positive out of all of this. Turn around and you fucking just lash out. It's okay. I understand it. We're all working under the same rulers. So it's an odd pattern. Watching you, I've learned to be angry at systems and not individuals with shit opinions. Ironically, Chad always gets mad at you, just misplacing their justified anger. Yeah. Okay. The Buffalo shooter. I mean, I don't know how fucking correct the Daily Mail is, but dude, please look at this. Dude, this in and of itself is exactly the Zach Fox meme, dude. Holy shit. I mean, this is literally Zach Fox's very own certified fucking classic meme on Twitter. I don't know if he still has a fucking Twitter or not, but it's this, bro. It's this. Oh wait, he doesn't have it anymore. He doesn't have it pinned anymore. That's crazy. Every time a white person be like a fucking doing an act of terror, okay? And this is how the fucking media, dude, look at this. This is how photos be looking at headlines when a white family kills his entire family. A white man kills his entire family, like straight up. Every time. It's crazy. Yeah, what a sweet family. Hope nothing bad happened. Every goddamn time. Buffalo shooter was investigated after threatening school shooting last year, but still legally bought 3 guns. Nice, dude. Once again, though, like pointing this out and ending it at the hypocrisy seeking is, again, just a reinforcement of our powerlessness. What you need to recognize in this circumstance is not simply the hypocrisy of Daily Mail, which is a fucking right-wing dish rag anyway, but instead understand that this plays a role in manufacturing consent and plays a role in reinforcing the attitude that people have about white shooters versus black victims of police brutality. Okay? It is just another way to reinforce the white supremacist hegemonic attitude in the media. Last year, one former student recalled Gendron wore hazmat school to school for a week. She believed it had something to do with protecting himself from the coronavirus, but she didn't rule out the fact that he was making a joke. It was the most extra thing I've ever saw him do. A former classmate who was asked not to be named said there were other indications of Gendron's fragile mental state. During a class exercise in political class in which the students created their own countries with the government of their choice, Gendron's pick was an autocratic regime that the classmate described as Hitler-esque. His views were extreme, the students said. You could pick any form of government that you wanted, and he picked the totalitarian government. Like he's from like a nice, from what I understand, by the way, as far as I've seen, he's from like a relatively well-off, nice family too. So just remember that as well. The classmate recalled that he almost collided with her head on in his car, but she brushed it off at the time of careless driving. He was definitely into video games, shooter games. It's so mind-blowing to think that it could have been us, she said. We know that he was like a big Rust fan. He played a lot of Rust. I know he had this manifesto, but what if he decided to do a test run on us? For the most part, he was quiet. But she said he would smile weirdly when he spoke to people. She said she didn't remember him ever having a girlfriend. Obviously, video games are not to blame here, for the record. It's just another indication that you see like that isolation, okay? The isolation that a lot of these people experience on the fucking internet. For the most part, he was quiet. Gendron is one of 4 boys born to Paul and Pamela Gendron, 2 civil engineers with the state who live in Conklin, New York, 3.5 hours south of Buffalo. Paul coached his kids in the town's soccer league, and at least one neighbor found him strange. His mother appeared conceited, locals said. He's from this pristine family, a schoolmate said. They have everything together. They were just perfect. In photos posted by his mother on Facebook, Peyton Gendron appears to tower over his father and others. He was 6'1" or 6'2". He was a big guy. Family appears to be a tight-knit suburban family that played laser tag together, went to autumn festivals, the beach, and dined together in restaurants. That's great. That's so nice. How wonderful and kind. He grew up with a lifetime of privilege. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that is. Unfortunately, Rust was probably another vector for radicalization for a very, very long time. There's a huge Nazi problem on Rust. It's still there, but the devs changed the terms and not allow Nazi flags anymore. Dude, I know. But also, the other problem with Rust is like fucking clans that overtake the entire map, but nobody's talking about that. And then dominate everybody. Okay. Neighbor said they were cold. To be honest, the mother was kind of snooty. A local parent who asked not to be named said, like she was better than everybody else. The father was strange. Like when you meet someone, they just seem off. A neighbor recalled him bringing home a human-sized brontosaurus that he built for a school project. School records show that he was a good student, made high honors his senior year, scoring higher than 92% in all of his classes. Facebook photos show that Gendron went to a few college tours and spent some time enrolled in Broome County Community College. A college spokesman told the Buffalo News he was no longer enrolled. They have a really nice family, neighbor Nancy Santucci said. They seem like regular people. In a million years, I never would have think that anyone in this neighborhood would drive the Buffalo to carry out a racially motivated shooting. Funny how it's not a terrorist, he's a white supremacist. No, white supremacy is terror. They're not. I think like part of the reason why it's good to see this background in the situation is not just to sanitize the actions of the shooter itself, but also to show you that, or at least the reason why I'm going through this is because I want to show you that, like, you know, it's not as simple as like, oh, this dude fucking developed this kind of attitude one day he snapped. It can happen too. Alienation and isolation can happen in every family. It can happen in all different walks of life, in all kinds of circumstances. Privileged people get into this shit as well. So just remember that it's not like, you know, it's not always just like mean-spirited individuals, okay? And they can be polite to your face as well, as I've talked about. Sure, the parents were hella conservative, though, which this article is probably not mentioning. Anyway. In the screed, he said he was radicalized by 4chan, the same online chat group that launched QAnon. He claims that the critical race theory is a Jewish plot to undermine white, which he argues is a reason to kill Jews. He also refers to other mass shootings carried out by further racist ideology like Dylan Roof, killed 9 people in a black church in South Carolina, and New Zealand lunatic Brendan Tarrant, who murdered 51 people in a mosque. Gendron also espoused the Great Replacement Theory, which claims Democrats are deliberately importing illegal migrants into the U.S. wholesale to achieve electoral dominance while driving whites to extinction. On Saturday night, Gendron, who was barefoot, masked, and wearing a paper smock, told the judge that he understood the charges against him and was not guilty at an arraignment Saturday evening. We have taken the necessary steps to get him behind bars. That was justice, getting that first murder charge filed immediately. The DA said that they were working with federal authorities to bring further terrorism, hate crime, and murder charges. He made no other comment, and Gendron's lawyer confirmed he planned to plead not guilty to the killings. Conklin has since been pictured on social media profiles. 3 gunshot victims are being treated for injuries. The cops say 11 of the people he shot were black, and he live streamed the assault. He exited his vehicle. He was heavily armed. He had tactical gear. He had a tactical helmet on. He had a camera that he was live streaming what he was doing, the police commissioner said at a news conference. This was the retired police department, retired ex-cop Aaron Salter, who apparently went back to become a security person at the supermarket out of boredom in retirement. He actually shot the dude. He actually shot the fucking terrorist piece of shit. But because he had body armor, unfortunately, the piece of shit had body armor. Nothing happened to him, and then he turned around and killed him. So, yeah. Ruth Whitfield, the 86-year-old mother of retired Buffalo Fire Commissioner Garnell W. Whitfield, was also killed during the shooting spree. My mom was a consummate mom. Mother was a mother to the motherless. She was a blessing to all of us. She loved God and taught us to do the same thing. The former fire commissioner told Buffalo News. So yeah, and that's where we're at. Senseless violence and bloodshed. Another day in America.